Welcome back. It's time to talk about the very best comic books that you could read this week. And here with me, as always, is Drew from Comics Elite. How you doing, Drew?
Doing great, Wes. Just got back from PlanetCon out in Kansas City. Had the best barbecue ever in my life. It was a great experience. It was a fun experience. But let's talk about some great comics.
Let's talk about some barbecue first. Did you go to Oklahoma Joe's like I suggested?
Went to Q39. Q39 was the other suggestion I got, and we had some of that Saturday night. We had barbecue from Q39. We watched March Madness, and it was one of the best nights ever in my life. We had like a $200 platter. It was amazing. Let's
start out with the indie comics like we always do. I'm recommending Lord of the Jungle, #4 from Dynamite Comics. Dan Jurgens, Benito Gallego on this one. It looks like an old school Silver Age comic book, and it turns out that Tarzan can still actually bring it even at his old age here, although he does have a little bit of a mishap as we start melding the two timelines together, as we're getting flashbacks when Tarzan was younger and made a giant mistake. Is when he's older, he decides he's going to pull off like a diamond heist or something like that to try and right the wrongs of his past. And I kind of forgot about this comic book, but it's so amazing every time I get an issue of this one. Dan Jurgens knows what he's doing.
Dan Jurgens, enough said. He's been doing comics now for almost 40 years, and he's still killing it. And yeah, Lord of the Jungle, the art in this, you mentioned it earlier, is beautiful. Great Silver Age stuff right here. The artist is very much like a John Buscema type style, and it fits with the character perfectly. Yeah, we're getting an old man Tarzan, and it's awesome reading these tales. Doing a parallel to how it corresponds with the previous adventure and a diamond heist, and in a situation where he's trying to rescue others, but he doesn't want to get the diamonds, but he has to get them. Yeah, some great stuff here in this story. If you're new to Tarzan, please do jump in on this. You won't regret it. This is true action adventure fun here. Lord of the Jungle #4.
If you're into Silver Age comics or pulpy type stories, this is the comic book for you. I don't think you're going to find anything better than this Lord of the Jungle series, absolutely, from Dynamite. We're also recommending the Magic Order Volume 4, #3 from Image Comics. Mark Millar, Dyke Ruin on art here. Mark Millar has been kicking ass and taking names for about 6 months now. Every single comic book that he releases is absolute dynamite. This is no different. Although this comic book is not for the faint at heart, there's some absolute savagery in this bad boy, as Cordelia is getting ready to be brought before like the wizard or something like this, and it's supposed to be a family member. We get all this flashback about what this guy has been through. His Uncle Edgar or something like that. I can't remember exactly his name. And it turns out he's not the guy, but my God, what a brutal comic book. Really fills in a lot of blanks here.
Yes, the one word to describe this book is brutal. Yeah, Edgar is his name, yeah. And my God, talk about psychotic mind game parents creating a psychopath. All about making their child suffer mentally. That's what it's all about. And it's like you said, it's not for the faint of heart, probably not for the faint of heart if you're a parent. But and we see him grow and develop his 6-book fantasy series for a magic land where he's conveniently the unbeatable king, perfect in every way. All the while, we see him becoming more unstable as he grows older, costing him his family. And eventually, he discovers a magic book. And we get all the explanations we need, and we discover who the new Magic King is. Look, this is a damn good issue. The dialogue, the pacing, the art, all of this is top notch. Mark Millar, make a sports ball reference. Mark Millar is effectively the Harlem Globetrotters schooling the Washington Generals right now. He is making everyone in the regular comic book world look silly, look stupid. If you guys want to see a textbook on how to do it well, do it right, and just kick butt, Mark Millar's doing it right here with Magic Order.
I came away from this comic book thinking, I really wish he would have wrote some Fourth World stuff. I think he actually would have been able to do it justice because he would have held nothing back. The man is absolutely brutal what he wants to be. The final indie comic we're going to recommend, Vanish #5 from Image Comics. Donnie Cates, Ryan Stegman back together again. I personally haven't checked this series out. What am I missing here?
The first 4 issues were really good. It's pretty much a gentleman who grew up in a magic school, and he's getting some revenge on people who are hiding or in disguise as superheroes, but they're really evil magic people. But in this issue in particular, Vanish #5 is a very tough, complicated, and compelling comic. So like you said earlier, this is written by Donnie Cates. And if you've been following what's going on with him, it's very clear he's putting elements of his personal life into this. Specifically depression, addiction, and broken relationships. All those elements are in this book. But we see it used here for the main character, Oliver, and him not knowing what is real or what is fiction. Is he locked up in a nut house? Is he a costumed hero? Is he a murdering madman? Is he the chosen one? Did he confront the big villain? Is his wife dead? We don't know. I mean, the first real compliment I have to give to this is to Ryan Stegman. He's really stepped up his game when it comes to visual storytelling. His paneling, the detail, the action, the horror, the emotions, everything is next level here. And I think this is some of the best work Ryan Stegman has ever done. Yes, I just said that. Second, I need to compliment Donny Cates for being able to channel his pain and his demons, what he's going through right now, into this comic and writing a very good and very dark story here. Each issue has gotten better with Vanish, and I cannot wait for the next one. Please do check out Vanish number 5. Once again, not for the faint of hearts. And you will not regret it.
If you're a Marvel fan and you're missing Donny Cates, you can find him over at Image Comics with Ryan Stegman, who you'll likely be very familiar with. Let's go over to Marvel Comics now that we've mentioned them. Definitely recommending Joe Fixit number 3, Peter David, Yildirim Sinar. Starts out with a really fun flashback to where Peter Parker actually ends up meeting the Hulk in a diner as they're waiting for the Absorbing Man. And it was a lot of fun. It felt like really good old school Peter Parker and Hulk getting together. I was happy to see Joe Fixit finally make Hulk the main character in the comic book. Finally, the first 2 books more like a Spider-Man book with some Hulk in it. This is absolutely Hulk-centric. A lot to do with his psyche and how he's all broken apart. Bruce Banner's part to play and all that stuff. And I thought it was really wonderfully executed.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. This is arguably the best one of the series so far. Yildirim Sinar, I hope I pronounced that correctly. His art is incredible in this, pun intended. His style is very similar to like a Derek Robertson or Derek Robertson and Mark Teixeira mixed in together. And the art is very welcome here. I love it. The detail on the faces, the muscles, the action, the destruction, it's all top notch. Second, Peter David, once again, his dialogue, his humor, the pacing, the shocks, all top notch again. This is a guy who's on his, I don't want to say deathbed, but he's had a lot of medical scares and he's still killing it too. The stuff between Joe Fixit and Spider-Man or Joe and Banner, is all great. It's in the internal psyche with Joe and Banner. That's some of the best stuff in the comic right there. And what Joe does to Banner in the psyche, I loved it. I was like, whoa, holy crap, he went there. It's hard to find one favorite scene because they're all great from the diner to Banner's mind. If you're looking to fill the Hulk void in your life, do check out Joe Fixit number 3.
Absolutely. Another comic book that's jumping back 30 years to continuity. J.M. DeMatteis, Spider-Man The Lost Hunt number 5, tying into Kraven's Last Hunt and all those wonderful stories there. J.M. DeMatteis, a welcome relief to Spider-Man fans.
Absolutely. It's great having him back on Spider-Man. It's great seeing a writer who knows what he's doing and he's telling a great story here. This series goes out with a bang. This was the final issue. And we also get a new spider armor. It's made out of vibranium. And it looks great. I love it. How it's explained here, how it's used. It's perfect. But we really do see that the real conflict in this is between the mother and son, Arisha and Gregor. Will Gregor's anger finally overtake him? You got to read to find out. I'm going to say this again for the cheap seats. This is the Spider-Man series and had so much more heart, love, action, and suspense than the crap Zeb Wells is pushing. Every character is essential here and are written like actual characters, not caricatures. J.M. DeMatteis just adds to his legacy here as a terrific Spider-Man creator. And if you're not reading this and you say you are a Spider-Man fan, you are wrong. Please do check this out, guys.
Oh my goodness, you just pulled your spider card if you're not reading that comic book. And it's kind of weird that the 2 comic books from Marvel we can actually recommend this week are happening in continuity 30 years ago with writers they won't give ongoing series to, but the in-continuity stuff just was not very impressive. But we do have 3 comic books from DC Comics to recommend this week. Starting with Batman Superman World's Finest, Mark Waid, Dan Mora. This is issue number 13. The series has been out for over a year now. The cover on this thing is so absolutely fantastic. It just looks like fun. It looks like something you want to read, and it tells you what the story is about. World's Finest are after Metamorpho, a character that's very tragic within DC Comics, not utilized very often. We have a murder mystery. Did he murder the man he was supposed to protect? Batman, Superman are on the case. Every character is absolutely, their voices are perfect. This is the best version of Jimmy Olsen I've seen in years. absolutely wonderfully used because Mark Waid actually knows what he's doing with these characters. He made a Metamorpho issue fun and cool and relevant to DC Comics. That tells you everything you need to know.
Absolutely. Mark, once again, like you said, 13 issues now, and Mark Waid has killed it on every single issue. Every single issue on our reviews and our Comics Elite channel, every issue has been at least our number 1 or number 2 pick. He is killing it because he knows the voices of these characters, and every character has a unique voice. It's not interchangeable dialogue like you get with stuff from the X-Men office over in the Marvel. Like you said, this issue is a murder mystery. Simon Stagg, the billionaire responsible for the creation of Metamorpho, is murdered, and it appears Metamorpho may be the main suspect to Batman and Superman. Then they begin the investigation as Jimmy Olsen begins his investigation with Clark's assistance. Like you said, this is the best use of Jimmy Olsen we've had in decades. I love it. He's being a reporter who's also a photographer. Great stuff. But also appears that by the end of this issue that someone else may be the suspect. Terrific art, dialogue, pacing. I love the retelling of Metamorpho's origin here and the stuff with Jimmy.
It's the best telling of his origin I've ever seen. If you've never gotten Metamorpho and what he is and why he is, this is the comic book that perfectly explains it in one issue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sad, it's tragic, it's horrific, and it pulls at your heartstrings when you see what happened to him. And it's very great stuff. If you're not reading this, I understand in some cases why you may not be, but come on, please. Do read this. You are truly missing out here, guys. Please fix yourself. Check out World's Finest number 13.
The best week we get in every month is when Batman Superman World's Finest comes out. Not just because of that one, because we get a fresh issue of The Flash from Jeremy Adams, Roger Cruz, and other artists on this one, issue 795, part 6 of the 1 Minute War, the big event that's actually got sales going up for Flash, even though they're removing Jeremy Adams from the series. It just makes no sense whatsoever. A lot of fun going on here. The plane has finally got together. We've had deaths. They need to undo them. We need to bring Wally back. We've got new hero names, and we've got the entire family working together as one, which I thought was a really great touch. The only thing that's wrong with this comic book is the multiple artists. I don't know what they were thinking. Roger Cruz has been absolutely perfect on this 1 Minute War, but the other artists that they got to come in on this one, it doesn't feel cohesive whatsoever.
In this issue in particular, some of the pages just look rushed. No pun intended for a Flash series. But yeah, which is a shame because this is a big event, and I don't want to see pages for an event look rushed. But I will say my favorite part of this whole book was the very last page. I could not think of a bigger, better double middle finger to Tom King than that last page right there that Jeremy Adams put out there. If you read Heroes in Crisis and you didn't like it, like a majority of people didn't, you're going to love this last page. It is a great FU double middle finger to Tom King, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. Please do check out Flash to 1 Minute War, guys. This is a fun series. You will not regret it, guys.
The final recommendation we're going to have from DC Comics includes a little bit of everything. Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, number 5, Tom Taylor, Trevor Hare signed. We're ending the Deceased saga here, and we've got Darkseid, we got Lobo, we've got everybody. I think Sinestro's in here, and it feels like they crammed every single character into this story as we're heading towards the finish line of what I would say has been a very, very successful endeavor for Tom Taylor. Probably the best work he's ever done at DC Comics. If you have not read the original Deceased, go back and get that one, and you will probably feel better about Tom Taylor than you would, reading his Superman book.
Yeah, or Nightwing, or almost everything else he's writing right now at DC. But once again, I'm going to say I do not believe Tom Taylor wrote this. I think he may give us a story outline, and Ben Abernathy finished it. I think Ben Abernathy wrote this because this is just too damn good, too damn fun. If you compare it to Nightwing or everything else, it's like this is the same guy. I don't believe it. I'm not buying it. But this issue, it's action packed. We got death, destruction, sacrifices, and the main man, Lobo. On top of that, can the Spectre turn the tide of the fight, or is all lost? This was really damn good. The only issue I have is with the art. It abruptly, with the Flash, it abruptly changes around the halfway point through or so to a completely different style, which is jarring. But thankfully, it goes back to Trevor's art. I'll attribute that to maybe Trevor falling behind, I'm going to guess. But regardless, it's a kick-ass issue, and I'm pumped for the final issue. This is the event from DC Comics, and this is how you write an event. Everyone's involved. It's galactic. There's stakes. There's sacrifices. There's death. There's action, reciprocity, humor. You're going to get the whole gambit here in this book, in this series. This is the stuff we wanted from Dark Crisis or any other event but never got. Strong recommend for this Deceased, War of the Undead Gods.
So I don't know anything about Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, or even the second book in the volume. But I have been told specifically that Tom Taylor didn't come up with the idea for Deceased. He did not outline the idea for Deceased. And he didn't really come up with the story concept whatsoever. He was given all of that, at least the first volume, on a silver platter from an editor at DC Comics. And then he finished it, kind of like what we've heard with Mark Waid when it comes to Kingdom Come, to where he didn't really come up with the idea or the story or anything. He just went in and like put in the dialogue. That's what I was told. Take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because it really, like I said, if you read this compared to everything else, like this does not feel like a Tom Taylor idea. So yeah, it makes the picture is much more clear now.
So Drew, we obviously missed you last weekend. You were in Kansas City having a good time, having some barbecue, watching some basketball. And next weekend, if people tune in to see Drew from Comics Elite talk about the best comic books, they're going to be disappointed again. What the hell? You're leaving me?
I'm sorry, I gotta leave you for another. It's convention season, man. Hey, I gotta go to Orlando. I gotta go where
God, you're a con man.
Yeah, if you're in the Orlando area, coming out to MegaCon, guys. I'll be there along with Sean and our Whatnot live sale crew. We're gonna have a huge 20 by 20 island. Artists such as Greg Bo Watson, Ali Garza, and the Mad Irishman himself, Ryan Brown, are gonna be at our booth exclusively. We're gonna have several exclusive covers from the artists I just mentioned, as well as Don McTeague, Eric Basaluda, Ebash, Shikari, John Jiang, and Brett Booth. And we'll also have a cosplayer at our booth who's done work with Dynamite. Her name is Rachi. So you'll get so if you come to our booth, get Power Hour number 2, which I wrote with Sean Hidachko. You can get that 4-time signed by myself, Sean, Ali Garza on interior art, and the cosplayer Rachi. So lots of very exclusive and sexy stuff at MegaCon from Comics Elite next week, guys. Please do stop by and say hi. And if you do buy the comics at our booth, free signatures.
Well, that is great news. If you're going to be in the area, definitely visit and see Drew and the rest of the guys from Comics Elite. Support them. He's obviously an up-and-coming writer. And I do want to say thank you very much for joining us today, talking about the good stuff. The reason that we actually read comic books, it's for stuff like this, not garbage like Tim Drake, Robin, or Captain Marvel stuff. Now, if you're like, Wes, I haven't had enough. 18 minutes isn't enough thinking critical content. It just so happens YouTube thinks this is the best video I ever made in my entire life. Made it just for you. Definitely check this out for some more Thinking Critical.